Hi everyone, Flaming Footy here and welcome back to another YouTube video on the channel. And today guys, we're going to be ranking AFL teams at the midway point of the 2022 AFL season. Now, not sure if you've seen the video going out about predicting or like my ladder for the end of the year for the mid-season, but that should or will be out very soon if it's not already out. But anyway, we're going to be ranking AFL teams in today's video. We're going to be going over where their start's been and where I think they could possibly finish. So there's going to be two parts to this. Starts and finishes. So where I think they can start and where I think they can finish. So we're going to be starting off with starts, obviously, because that's how you start. You don't finish and then start. You don't finish the season and then start the season. You start the season and then finish it. So we're going to be starting off with starts. And, yeah, let's just go over some teams. So Adelaide, their start, it's been an okay start. Hasn't been the best. Hang on, wait, we'll change it. You know what? I think that's better. Adelaide not the best start. I think we'll change that. And I can just tell you there will be teams in every section as well. Adelaide not the best start. Their record is 3-7, I believe. 3-7? No, 3-7. It's not. I think it's 3-7. I'm not sure. I'll have to check. Sorry, it's 3-8, but again, not the best of starts, but again, not enough to be horrible because, of course, teams like North Melbourne and West Coast are only registering the one win. Now, Brisbane, they've had a very good start to the year. Now, they're definitely probably the second or third best team in the competition right now as it stands. They lost to Hawthorn, wasn't great, but again, that one did just slip in a little bit of a fall there. But I do think they've had a very good start to the year. Or even a fantastic start, really. If you wanted to do that, you could really say a fantastic start. I'm probably going to put them up in fantastic, actually, just because they've just had a great start to the year, have Brisbane. And when you do that, you definitely make finals from there. Brisbane, they've been really good, and I think everyone expected that to happen. Now, Carlton, not everyone expected Carlton to have like a 9-3 or an 8-4 record starting off the season. Now, yes, their win versus Collingwood on the weekend, their loss versus Collingwood on the weekend definitely wasn't their greatest moment of the year. In fact, it was probably one of their worst, but Collingwood really put up a good fight and earned that win, really. But Carlton, they've still really beaten the odds and they've really played really well this year and deserve to be right up in that fantastic start category. Finals for them, definitely, and they're going to be getting some September footy action unless if things go dramatically wrong, which I can't see happening. Carlton have had a fantastic start to the year, though, and very good for them. Now, Collingwood have had a decent start. They're pressing for the 8. They're sitting just outside the 8 right now, I believe, as well. And I mean, look, Collingwood, they've been a little bit shaky this year with the loss to West Coast. But other than that, I feel and a loss to Geelong, which, yes, I think most of us did think that Geelong were going to win, but they had a 37-point lead and choked it. But other than that, I feel like I can't really see any other really horrible moments. I think they've been pretty good this year, pushing on the 8, and that gives them a decent start. Now, Essendon, they have had a horrible start to the year compared to where people were talking, oh yeah, finals for the Bombers or just outside finals, or even a home final, or even them winning a final. That is all out the door for them, or all out the window for them this year. Their start has been far from good. Their 2 wins coming against Adelaide and Hawthorn, and those are 2 of not so great opponents. Yes, Hawthorn are good, but Adelaide not so great, and they were both at home at Marvel as well to make things even easier for them. They did come close to Port Adelaide, but other than that, don't really see any really great moments of their season for Essendon, so it's a horrible start for them. The Dockers, however, have had a fantastic start, and knocking off Melbourne was probably the biggest moment of the season yet. Melbourne ended Fremantle ended Melbourne's 17-game winning streak, and that was a big moment. That's the big moment in the season. And if you're looking for a big moment, there it is. So far, Freo defeating Melbourne, that's your big moment. So far, Freo have been very good this year, and definitely deserving of, if not a top 4, a home final finish for them this year. They've been good. Wet weather footy has alarmed them, but that win against Melbourne in dry conditions was fantastic, and Melbourne were far from good that day. Geelong, they've had a very good start to the year. Sam De Koning, if you want to talk about someone from Geelong, talk about Sam De Koning, Tom Stewart, Jeremy Cameron, Tom Hawkins. There's many players you could talk about, but Sam De Koning in particular has been fantastic. Tom Stewart, Tom Hawkins, Jeremy Cameron also been fantastic. They got a very good team, and they're definitely going to be giving the premiership another crack this year. Every year it said, oh, this is Geelong's last year to chase a flag. And their young developing group isn't actually too bad, to be completely honest, either. Sam DeConey's going to be a real big part of that as well. But yeah, the Cats have had a very good start to the year and will be attacking the premiership and the flag in season 2022. Now, Gold Coast, they've been another team that have had a decent start to the 2022 AFL season. They have been, they've been good. They've been pretty good. Some wins and some losses there. They're sitting at quite a fair record, and again, just outside the 8 as well. Could they push for the 8 this year? They're in a similar position to Collingwood. They could definitely push for the 8, but I feel like spots on the 8 this year are going to be limited with teams like Carlton and Fremantle and St Kilda and Richmond really charging some teams that weren't in there last year. And then, of course, still like your good teams from last year like Sydney, Western Bulldogs, Brisbane, Geelong, etc. So there's going to be some really tough teams competing, and I'm just not sure if Gold Coast fall up into that category. But their last few games in particular have been fantastic. Winning over Sydney, over Freo, some really good opponents, and then smashing everything out of the Hawks was another fantastic win. So Gold Coast have had a decent start to the year. Now GWS, again, their start to the year has been, well, not the best start, to be completely honest. They're actually above Adelaide, but some of Adelaide's wins were better than GWS. GWS did get a very big thumping win over Adelaide, however, and that's where they really took a start to their year. Other wins coming against Gold Coast and West Coast, so not the greatest of opponents in any terms, but they really did come close to Brisbane up at the Gabba as well, which did show some signs of fight. GWS finals would be out of the equation. You would definitely be thinking for them. It's just an off year. They may come back next year, or maybe not. This could be where they sit for the next few years. But GWS, not the greatest start to the year, but again, they could definitely have had worse if they had a loss to a team like Gold Coast or Adelaide or something like that. But again, their last few weeks in particular, though, haven't been too bad. So they could actually sit, by the end of the year, they could be sitting in a respectable sort of record of maybe even like 8-14 or 9-13. If they really push, they could get a respectable record. Again, though, not so sure about that. Hawthorn, they've had a decent start to the year as well. They've been a team, though, that is very unpredictable. Come out one week firing, come out the next and be very poor. And that's the perfect way to put it. They won against Brisbane by 5 points and took nothing up to the NT to play Gold Coast, and they got smashed to bits up there. And again, that's just really perfectly resembled Hawthorn's season in a nutshell. Brisbane and Gold Coast, those are the two perfect opponents. That really does tell how their season has gone. It's been up one week, down the next, etc. And I feel like Hawthorn fans, I'll ask you the question, do you think it's been like that, or do you have a different take on it? But that's kind of how I see it. Yes, they've beaten Geelong and Brisbane and some really good teams, but some losses to some not-so-great teams like Gold Coast have been good, but like losses to teams that are very winnable games after winning those games like Gold Coast, etc. So, and Essendon. So, yeah, just a few things to think about there for the Hawks. But again, nothing. They've still had a decent start to the year. Now Melbourne, of course, Melbourne go in fantastic. Now, last week versus Freo was not the best, and we all know that by a Melbourne sort of standard, but they've still done okay. They've still done okay of Melbourne, and yeah, that's good for them. They've still played very good footy this year. Maybe not their best in the first few rounds, but they've really switched on and showed they can smash. Now to North Melbourne, they've had a horrible start to the year. They've been shred to bits this year with a record of 1-11. Not very good for North Melbourne, and unfortunately enough, they've also got another cellar dweller with them, as in West Coast, which will add them onto the tier list now. Both North Melbourne and West Coast, we'll be talking both these teams now. Both have had a horrible start to the year. Both have been smashed multiple occasions. But West Coast, even more worrying signs for them. Being smashed by 100 plus points, 109 versus Richmond and 100 versus Western Bulldogs, both on nighttime games at Optus Stadium. So that's worrying for them. Danger year, but again, though, if you do finish last, you end up with pick one, so maybe that's West Coast's ultimate aim now. And for North, again, same thing. They've been smashed to bits as well this year and haven't had a great season. Now to Port Adelaide, who haven't had the best start, but they've really sort of come back in the past few weeks to have a decent record, sitting 5-6. Now, they lost their first 5 games of the year, won the next 4, lost 1 versus Geelong, 1 versus the Bombers. So, and their win versus the Bombers wasn't that convincing. But again, Port Adelaide, they've been alright. They haven't been the best like last year. They were fantastic last year, but this year they've just dropped off a little bit. Their first 5 games are really disappointing, and that could actually make them miss the 8 this year. That is a realistic chance as well, is for Port Adelaide to miss the 8 because of those first 5 games. And yeah, that could be really costly in the end. But their past 4 wins were very, very good, and the first win was coming up against a not so great West Coast team that had North Melbourne in that patch as well. So they did get some easy wins in there. But again, Port Adelaide, they've had a decent start to the year. Nothing very, very, very special, but there is still plenty of work to be done at Alberton for them to make finals. Richmond, they've had a very good start to the year. They have been rising up, and they're currently just outside the 8 percentage, just alongside Collingwood, who are also just outside the 8 percentage wise. But Richmond, I feel like the thing that separates them from Collingwood is they've been very good. Just a little bit better than Collingwood. Otherwise, then Collingwood could be up in very good start as well. But I just still feel like Richmond, they've been able to come out, they've been able to score very high, very consistently, and they've been able to smash teams. When they've got their best team, they are fantastic, and they've competed really well in most games this year as well. Their loss to Adelaide was very disappointing, but that was back when Adelaide were actually playing some decent footy. But yeah, Richmond, they have played pretty good this year, and I feel like they are definitely a contender for the top 8. St Kilda we go now, and again, another very good start for St Kilda. In fact, fantastic start for St Kilda. They are pushing for a top 4 finish, and they definitely should be getting one as well. They've been very good, and their wins have been fantastic. They've been able to smash as well, and been a very dominant team at Marvel Stadium. So I feel like their season should be very good for St Kilda, and even not top 4, definitely home final finish for them. Sydney's start to the year has been a decent. It hasn't been overly anything that's really, oh, yes, fantastic. It has been a decent start to the year. I just feel like Sydney have been dropped off a little bit compared to where they were last year. And against Richmond, the SCG, round 11, they were struggling. They were down by 37 or 33. And luckily enough for them, Richmond choked it, and they got the win. And it's been their slow starts that have really cost them some games, like losing to Gold Coast. Definitely wasn't their best. And then conceding the first 5 goals versus Hawthorn. Carlton really ran away from them in the second term. So they have had some, and Brisbane really ran away. So they have had some not so great games. They've also had some pretty decent games as well versus Essendon and everything like that. But again, the Swans have had a decent start. They're sitting right on the edge of the 8. Worrying signs for them. And the Western Bulldogs have also had a decent start as well. Finals does look under the pump for them though, because their big win versus West Coast though in round 11 was really good for them, and they needed that desperately, really, just to send a competition that, like, alright, we're here, we're really trying, and we're going to try and make a claim for the 8. And it's going to be interesting to see where they finish this year. So the Bulldogs, decent start. Now I'm going to pause the video, going to change the teams into tier lists, and then you'll see the final tier list for the finishing sections. In fact, you know what? I think we've done enough in this video that we don't need to extend it any longer. You should watch the mid-season ladder predictions if that's gone out, and if it hasn't, it'll be out very soon. But this is ranking every AFL team at the mid-season. What have they got left to give from here, and how far can they possibly go? These 5 teams are out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 teams are put in the top 3 sections. And the race for the 8 is definitely wide open, and there's still a whole half of the season to go, so it's going to be interesting to see who can make the 8. But thank you guys all so much for watching. This is my opinion, so you can let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. Send you guys never miss another video on the channel. Thank you guys all so much for watching. So bye everyone, Flaming Footy out.